What's up, man? How's it going?
Hey Drex, how are you?
I'm good, man. Some crazy times right now, huh?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Good to see you, man. What have you been up to?
I think about a month ago, we kind of saw what was coming, and for a lot of our investments, we try to like gain as much liquidity as possible and shore up the balance sheet. I think for most of our businesses, we can survive for like a medium term, and then kind of come back out, and then now just getting used to this is the new normal, right? I mean, just getting locked up all day.
Yeah, man. And what businesses do you have right now in your portfolio?
Yeah, we have a lot of real estate and a lot of restaurants. So given kind of, especially with, for real estate, you're having a lot of trouble with third party services such as appraisers really trying to like get things out there, as well as tenants kind of finding new apartments or places to live. And then in restaurants, everyone knows what's going on with restaurants right now. So yeah.
So with the the shift in like the space, the restaurant space, like because you have to come up with different strategies, right? Because there's no dine-in, obviously. So all your places that have dine-in, you gotta like switch to go or whatever. What are some of the strategies that you guys implemented?
Yeah, so I think the hardest part about the restaurant is that everyone has the same issue right now where you don't have dine-in customers. So how do you solve for that loss of revenue? We were pretty early in gift cards, so we sold about $25,000 of gift cards about 3 weeks ago, and that helped a lot with the short term. And then we accessed lines of credit about a month ago to kind of help us hold over negotiated rents with our landlords, talk to all our vendors. So everything that I think you have to do to kind of save like pennies and cents, and all of that should like hopefully lead to survival. In terms of like what product offerings, we were already on the delivery kind of platforms. It's kind of interesting. Like Uber Eats was up 10% last week because of the way that people are ordering food. And like in San Francisco, for example, man, people haven't had to feed themselves for years.
Yeah.
I mean, like people who work at Google and Facebook, like they don't even know how to like boil an egg.
Yeah.
So we're still seeing like some decent demand, but of course it's like not gonna make up for like kind of what we're going through. But we're just trying to survive until it's over.
Right, yeah, man. And I know that you guys just opened up that Dumpling Time, man. And
yeah.
And
that one had like a 1-2 punch because first all sporting events were shut down, and that's right by the Chase Center, and then all restaurants were shut down for dine-in, and that's a pretty heavy dine-in location. So that's actually an example of one where we're going to shut it down, but we negotiated some pretty decent rent concession there, so we'll be fine. That one's going to reopen, and all of our concepts are going to reopen. So we feel pretty good about it, but it's not fun, right? I mean, it's just a new environment. Yeah. How are your concepts going?
Oh man, same like every other small business owner out there. Especially, it's been tough. I mean, I feel like I'm almost in the same position as you, where like my Sweetbot Cafe just launched, like 3 months ago, and where right now we were just picking up momentum, and we just released some new things, and it was just like, all right, this is where we're gonna hit it hard, right? And then something else hard hit us.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the hard part is like Rooster Rice is something that we were expanding pretty rapidly. We were going to open up 2 new stores in Valley Fair and Stonestown Mall. They're 2 of like the bigger malls in the Bay Area. And man, we were ramping up staff for that for like 2 years, and like most of that staff we had to kind of let go because we can't afford it right now. So it's pretty unfortunate. It'll be interesting. I think most people right now are like just focused on surviving.
Yeah.
But what people should do is they should think about surviving plus what it's going to take to like reopen. Like you got to also think about like, hey, you make it through, you got to restart your business again. Otherwise, what's the point of surviving? So, I think that's kind of like the sad part. I mean, yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's gonna be basically kind of picking ourselves back up after this, right? Because this is like this is like us falling unexpectedly and then just trying to figure out how to get back up. And tell me about training, man. Like we ramped up our training. We hired on a bunch of people. Like, okay, we're getting ready for spring, and then we just spent a ton of money investing into training and then investing and then training for no reason because obviously we're not open, right? We are, but like we have like one person at a time because our sales dipped like 80-90%, 90% I would say, but so I this looks like it's gonna last a while in terms of like dine-in, right? Mm-hmm. So this is gonna become like the new norm where like, okay, we have to shift our strategies because dine-in looks like it might be out for a very long time, and even if dine-in is allowed, people aren't gonna view it the same anymore. Right. So, what do you say about, your shift in strategies? Because I know with, Dumpling Time, right, it is a dine-in spot. But for Rooster Rice, you do have the ability to have a small space and just, in and out, So what are some of your changes and shift, going towards that way?
So Dumpling Time, that was location number 3. So they already have a delivery to go option. So we kind of concentrated everything to that retail spot. It's kind of like what my thought process was on restaurants overall. It's that if you're so reliant on dine-in, like people were already delivering more, right? Before coronavirus, when people are like at home and watching Netflix on a Friday and they're staying in, they're already getting delivery. So this trend has only kind of like made it more important and more vital to people's survival. Like. One thing in SF that's happening is a lot of Michelin star restaurants like Dominique Crenn.
Yeah.
She has a to-go kit right now. Birdsong, Avery has one, Single Thread, and Napa. So you're starting to see all these fine dining chefs who historically hate delivery.
Yeah.
They hate it. Yeah, I mean, it takes a big cut. It's a different business model that's more high turnover. When you're a fine dining chef, like you're used to like making the food and then having someone eat it right away, it kills you to like give it to a DoorDash driver and like have it get like cold. So I think it's really shifted. I think when we come out of this, like almost every restaurant will have to have a delivery option because you can't be concentrated on just dine-in anymore. Yeah.
Right. So how do you guys shift your marketing? Because most of the time, a lot of restaurants, right, they show their dining like they show their dining experience, right? Like, oh, this is how good it is. People enjoying it, yum yum. So with and a lot of print ads, right, that has to be down, right? But I know the trend has been moving a lot into the digital space. So in terms of marketing, what are you guys doing there? That's changing for this new environment for now and more towards the future.
Yeah, I think New York does a little bit better job than California restaurants, but in New York, like a restaurant is still very much like part of the community there. Like there's a restaurant there, an Italian place called Carbone, and they were just like a fine dining Italian restaurant. And right now they're doing to go and delivery, I think for the first time. And people are waiting like hours.
Wow.
Because they feel so attached to that restaurant and they had so many like good memories there, like dates and family gatherings and whatnot. California, isn't at that same level, but the way we shifted our marketing is really appealing to that because, this is like a time of survival.
Yeah.
We need the consumers to help support us right now. So we want them to feel as close to our brands as much as possible. And at the same time, we're going to remember the people that help support us and hopefully we'll do more in the community once we're kind of through this. So that's the way we've shifted our marketing. We were always heavily more weighted toward digital anyway. And then some of the other stuff you're seeing like meal kits and bundles and whatnot. I think those are all good ideas. I just think it has to fit to your brand. So
Right. And I think in every recession, right, or any disaster, there's always going to be, especially in the business world, there's always going to be winners and losers, right? And the winners are always going to be the ones that know how to pivot, while the losers are the ones that are just kind of trying to wait it out and trying to stick with the old ways, right? It's all about adapting, right? So that being said, I know that you have a lot of restaurants in the pipeline that's getting ready to open, right, or planned for this year. So are you rethinking of how they are being designed, and maybe even being renegotiated, and even with the menu changes, yeah,
Yeah, no, that's a super good point. I think like we were kind of launching like some like fine dining Italian spots. I mean, we're still gonna do it, but has to have a delivery component.
Right.
I think like we kind of went over like chefs don't like it, but now like I think before we're like, okay, if the chef doesn't like it, we'll try to work the business model around margins where it could still survive. No, we have to have a delivery component. I think also the other shift that I would kind of think about is, I mean, like right now people are just like supporting like brands that they know and brands that they love. We always knew that branding was going to be important, but now we're going to like double down on it. We're going to make sure that people feel connected to the brands as much as possible. Rather than, just like kind of like come in for like a transaction of food, like we're not McDonald's. We're going to be like something more than that. So.
Right. That's awesome, man. Because like, I was actually just driving by down the street after getting some groceries, right? I drove by this In-N-Out, and oh my gosh, this line for In-N-Out was like the longest I've ever seen it in the middle of the day, right? Okay, so they're already known for the takeout, right? They've always had the drive-through, right? Do you think you guys got to shift to even something more like that? Because they're like fast food, right? In a way, they are fast food, right? But they are absolutely killing it. I know they were killing it before this, but they are absolutely crushing it, right? So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, so do you see businesses, kind of shifting more towards, okay, you got to grab and go, not just delivery, right? Because people are still going to go out. They can't be cooped up in the house all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you see a component where like walk up option, right? Because who knows how long this is gonna last? It may in the next week or two. Let's just say perhaps, right? People are gonna be so. I feel like people are still gonna be used to this kind of model of thinking, right? Like I'm so used to just going out, picking it up now and go ordering online. Before I get there and just grabbing and going.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree. I mean, I kind of thought that like 20, 30 years down the line, people would like never go to a restaurant. Potentially, right? They would only go if it was like someone's like birthday or something.
Right.
Like, to have like a social gathering. I think this time period is going to like change it even faster and have people just be so used to like not, spending an hour and a half at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, just being used to like kind of like, I'm allotting like 30 minutes and I'm going to like get out of here, like type of thing. So I think that you definitely have to kind of like every restaurant now like has to have that component. Like even like, I don't know, like the Michelin star restaurants that will reopen, there was always a thought, like there's always going to be like a 1% of people who will always support like the luxury restaurants, no matter what recession or whatnot will happen. I think that's gone. Yeah, there's no way. I mean, like there will always be a 1% of people, but like, yeah, why do you want to just like serve 1% of people?
Yeah.
Like that sounds like terrible.
That 1% isn't enough.
Yeah, exactly. So I think definitely it's going to change. And if you don't change, like you just reopen and you're just another sit-down restaurant.
Yeah,
dude, people are going to feel freaked out for a while, right? Like even when they say coast is clear, it's not going to be like, oh man, like there's going to be like initial probably pent up cabin fever where people are like, oh great, I get to get out of my house and like, we'll go do something. But after that, people are going to be like, man, I'm still kind of like, hesitant about germs and stuff. So I think you have to do it. Yeah. For sure.
And what every business is in a different location, right? Your businesses are spread throughout the Bay Area, right? So, Bay Area is definitely known for having its tech workforce, right? Where, they're still able to have jobs, work from home, and then, still have viable income. But, we think the tech is always going to be there. It probably will be because you have the opportunity to make money online. But what about for the harder hit areas where like, say like the Central Valley, where like, there isn't as big companies to have that net, right? What would you suggest? Like, if you had a business out there, um, how would you kind of cater your message?
Yeah, for sure. If I had a business where like the median income was lower or it was less dense, I mean, you got to think about your audience and potential customers. Like, you're right. In the Bay Area, we have tech employees. They'll still pay these like crazy delivery fees. Like, oh, hey, I'll get like Halal Guys or Rooster and Rice for
Yeah.
like $20, but I'll pay $5 to $10 for delivery. It's crazy. Most people shouldn't be able to do that. So, I think in those areas, you'll still have a little bit of the food delivery, but it'll have to be cheaper. And then secondly, you got to have like a lower price point. So they'll be more efficient, right? I mean, I think restaurants especially will come out of this, and all of the kind of like, like practices that people were kind of living off of, like low margins and not having enough cash in the balance sheet, people are going to remember this for a while, and they should like change the way they like think about their businesses. So I think, yeah, for sure, there'll be some adjustments.
From your restaurants in the Bay or in North Bay compared to South Bay, like how did you have to, like, what differences do you see between the two in terms of its like adjustments that you guys had to make?
Yeah, for sure. In San Francisco, I mean, it's super expensive, right? I mean, you need to have a smaller like family size. So like we had some restaurants that were like, oh, hey, let's like make a bundle for 7 people. I'm like, why are we doing that in San Francisco? There's no order that would take that. You should have like an order for like 2 to 3 people, right? And like that should be a marketing play for a dense place like SF. In the suburbs, like in San Jose, like it's a more of a family area. People like live with like, the potential extended family. So that marketing package should be like 5 to 6 people.
Yeah.
So I do think like what you offer to what area you are is very important. And if you do make something that doesn't make sense, you're going to see it in your sales. Like people aren't going to buy it. Yeah.
And that's you make some really good points there, man. And it is where you're really located. But yeah, man, like being out here, we're looking outside the window. We're like, man, it's a ghost town.
Yeah.
There's it doesn't matter who your anchor is in your plaza, right? Because we're it's not bringing any foot traffic. We're not relying on foot traffic no more. What type of like what type of ads, what type of messaging do you see? Like, okay, how do we get out there? How do the people know that we are open, other than just listen ourselves on the delivery services?
Yeah, I mean, social media is definitely key to that, right? And you're still able to connect to your consumers, even though that they're not walking by your store.
Right.
So that's definitely one thing. And I generally, like we talked about a few times, like if you're in San Jose and your businesses are in Stockton from where you're from, like I would totally tell like, hey, I'm local. I grew up here. I wanted to make businesses here. And like during tough times, like in that time of scarcity of where you're going to spend that dollar or meal, like hopefully you want to support me too. Like I supported the community. So I really think like building that is something that restaurants and businesses overall probably need to do a little bit better of, and hopefully they get better now. We have all the time, so yeah.
Because we're hurting, right? Businesses are just hurting because already on restaurants, right? Our margin, we have a razor thin margin, right? So with this hit, we just got smacked by a train. So, what would you say to what kind of protections do we need, from our local government? Because, these are the guys that we elected to, protect us essentially, what do we need? Because a lot of these politicians, right, they get elected office, they want to help us, but they don't know how, right? Because it spans across different industries, but specifically in the restaurant industries, we have to let go of a ton of people because we just simply can't afford it. What do you think that we need from the local government level to the state to the federal level?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm talking to a bunch of the restaurant bar owners in San Francisco, and everyone is like, they need a bailout. You know, the problem like with the bailout is how is someone or some entity gonna like distribute the funds, right? I think it was $367 billion for small businesses. What was approved today? How do you do that? You know, how do you give out like $100,000 to all of those businesses for all that money? Like, and how do you know like which business you're giving that money to? Like, they're gonna make it, and it's not just like money, you know, kind of going after bad money, you know, where it's not gonna come back. I think that it is really important for politicians to help out. But I think they should partner with people that know how to do small business lending. You know, Square Capital is a perfect example of that. Cabbage, they're with small businesses every day. Their businesses are built on small businesses to begin with, so they know which ones that, you know, could be the most appropriate to like and quickly get the funds to, right? And then secondly, like, really appreciate what the government is trying to do, and like I think this is the biggest help and consideration government has ever tried to do for small businesses. But like, you gotta make it easier. I mean, the SBA disaster loan website is terrible. You know, like I mean, it takes like hours, and you know, like, it's fine for you and me who like, you know, like we're used to filling out these forms, a little bit more tech savvy. What about for our parents? Like, if they had a liquor store, I mean, like, my dad would just give up.
Right.
Like, he's not even going to apply for sure. So you need to have, like, an easier way for small businesses to access the capital. But on the back end, you should have, like, a better means of verifying, like, that the government money, it's our taxpayer money, you know, is being granted to businesses that, you know, are also, like, financially diligent, you know? Like, I mean, like, I see some businesses, like some restaurants that were like, up until the day where like Gavin Newsom said like we had to close, they were like, nah, I'm not going to close. I'm just going to continue buying like more inventory, like the next regular amount. I mean that's not like good business, I'll be honest.
And a lot of times, you know, a lot of things that we have to spend money on is fees, right? Fees. You know. Do you think that our local, because a lot of times our local government is the one that, you know, imposes those fees, right? I think that they should be waived. You know what I mean? At this point in time, because I think that small businesses are like the backbone of our local economy, right? They create our culture, right? Otherwise, all we all have is just like national chains like McDonald's, Burger King, and stuff like that, right? Not knocking on those businesses, but I'm just saying that, you know, for a locality, you know, small businesses are the ones that make up the culture of it, and
for sure,
create the identity of the city or the neighborhood. So I think with the local politicians, they should really work on, you know, helping the small businesses out and waiving those fees, as well as having like the vendors that we buy our inventory from, right? They should really help out the farmers and stuff like that, where the inventory comes from, right? And, you know, knocking off those prices, because, you know, prices just keep rising, man, you know, in terms of cost of goods, right? You know, it's hard for us in the restaurant to change prices so consistently as much as like the vendors do, right? That supply us. So I know a lot of that is coming with supply and demand, but there has to be some regulation to where like, okay, these fees are knocked for them so that it doesn't carry on over to us.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like, more than the bailout is that like at some point, like, someone has to take the hit, right? It has. I agree with you. The fees, that's like an easy one. I think some counties are already doing it. I think SF has already kind of waived those like permitting fees and whatnot for the year. I think though, like, if you really think about it, like, small businesses make up like the majority of leases right now.
Right.
And then the leases are owned by landlords. The landlords probably have a mortgage to like a bank.
Right.
So I think like that's kind of like where you need to have like a top down where, you know, you got to have like the landlords be able to not pay mortgage so that they can give the rent concession to the tenants. And honestly, like, The fees, I agree with you totally, but it really is rent, right?
Yeah.
That's what everyone's fixed cost is right now, is how am I going to pay rent while we're shut down?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if the government, for example, was like, hey, banks, you cannot collect mortgages from these landlords if they show you that like a great percentage of their leases to small businesses don't have to pay rent.
Mm-hmm.
I think then if you force that will help small businesses survive. Because I mean, like on the labor side, like everyone can kind of like survive with what they need to do, and everyone's a hustler, right?
Yeah.
To kind of like make it happen. But if you can reduce that rent cost as well as some of these fees and taxes we're paying, I mean, most people will survive.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's it. Yeah. It's pretty simple math.
That's awesome, man. You know, I love your input. I love your insight, man. You know, as a small business owner, man, you know, it's a crazy time, and you know, hearing what you have to say, because you have, you know, a bunch of different businesses, and like I said earlier, you know, the winners of this is going to be the ones that learn how to adapt and pivot, right? And you know, thank you for your insight. You know, if there's anything else, you know, I could help you with, you could help, you know. If there's any more advice you would give, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last thing is like, man, it's not just like, hey, just because someone eats at my place, they're not eating at your place.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a crazy time. Like we should just all try to support each other. Like,
right.
That's how we're gonna like make things happen. Like,
mm-hmm.
and I really feel like some small business owners are definitely taking advantage of this and like banding together to kind of like make those changes you're suggesting. And then again, like I think for those that kind of like are still like dog eat dog, you know,
yeah,
you know, it's I just don't see like a good long-term solution. So I really appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you making this video and like keeping everyone's spirits up. I think that's great.
Well, thank you for hopping on and taking the time to share your knowledge with me, and you know, highly appreciate it, man. And I can't wait to sit down with you in person soon, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We'll all grab a drink. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I know. We were just joking about this last time. We were like, you know, social distancing. Now we really gotta like pull apart. But yeah, man, thank you very much, man. You know, I'll definitely be calling you again. Please, one last time, tell me, you know, what restaurants you got, and then you know where to check them out at.
Yeah, sure. So we have Rooster Rice, Bamboo Asia. They're all throughout the Bay Area. And we own a Bonchon in San Jose, and we're very good supporters of all the Halal Guys in the Bay Area, especially in San Francisco and East Bay. But yeah, check us out. We're really excited about it all, and yeah.
Sweet, man, sweet. Well, good luck with everything, man. And like I said, I'll be here for whatever you need. And yeah, man, let's keep our heads up and let's figure out ways to keep winning.
Sounds good, man. See ya. Bye.
All right, bro. Take care. Peace. And there you have it. If you have any more questions about the restaurant industry during this time, please leave a comment or just message us directly.